Hello everyone, I'm Theo, and today we're going to look at how to install a different steering wheel in a 2004 Forester XT. So it's a 2004 Subaru Forester XT. As you can see, mine comes with this normal steering wheel, 4 spokes with cruise control, and also a cruise control button on the dash. So the way this works is you push the button on the dashboard, it activates the cruise control system, and then by using this stalk, cruise control stalk, you basically have reset upwards, set downwards, cancel towards you. Yeah, so we're going to install a 3-spoke steering wheel, a newer one. You'll see that right now. This is just for show, so everything is taken apart, but I put it back together so that I can show you and explain a little bit how it's done. And we're gonna look at how to install 2010 Subaru. It's basically an Impreza, but it's also an XV. That one has cruise control and also infotainment and Bluetooth controls on the steering wheel. The 2008 steering wheel had only cruise control, and so with that one I moved the button from the dashboard to the steering wheel. I think 2005 plus Foresters already come with a stalk, a cruise control stalk that has the button on the end. So that means you press the button on the end of the stalk, and then you engage or turn on and off the cruise control system, and then you use the other movements as I already explained. In order to take off everything that's here, you need to first take off your battery. I'm not sure if it's really necessary, but whenever you're dealing with airbags, it's better to be more careful and not leave any energy in the airbag so that it cannot go off. So I already have my battery off. And then you need to find these 2 holes back here. The one's right here, and one's somewhere there, right here. Basically there are 2 Torx screws in there. You have to take those apart, and then you know, the airbag comes out. Mine is now screwed in, but the steering wheel is not, so I'll just take the whole thing off. When you take the airbag off, you need to be cautious. You've got 1 ground wire for the horn and a plug for the airbag itself. That one you have to pry out. I'll show you soon how. Then you have to take out the cruise control plug, and you'll see that. So I'll just take my steering wheel off, just like that. Okay, so as I said, you take the airbag off, and then you have to take this plug off. So you have to pry on the upper and lower parts, and this comes out, and then you can take the plug out. Don't pull on the yellow part, so just pull it in order to disengage the safety, and then pry the whole plug out. And for this one you have to press like this, and you see the movement it does, and it comes out. Then for this one you have 1 screw here. You take that screw out, and then this you have to pry it a little bit. It also has some snap fits. I'm not sure if I'll be able with one hand to take it out. Yeah, just like that it comes out. And then you have to open your steering wheel adjustment lever and just pull this cover off. So just like that it comes out. So you can see it's only 1 screw here, right here, one screw, and the snap fits around. So for the upper part, you have to take these two screws out. It's one right here and one let me see here, I believe, yeah. And then this one also comes out. Well, it doesn't come out completely, but you pry it upwards, and you'll see that in the back it has a shape that snaps onto the steering stalk. Yeah, so you just pry this out like this. Then you have this 17 millimeters nut that keeps the steering wheel mounted. You have to take this one out. Don't take it out completely, keep it in with a few threads, so that when you pull on your steering wheel, you won't, hit yourself in the face with the steering wheel. Of course, you can use a special steering wheel puller, but I didn't have that, so I just pried on the steering wheel until it came out. Maybe you have to heat it a bit. It depends from car to car, and then you can take the nut off. I leave it in because I don't want to lose it. And you can proceed to taking out the clock spring. So you have 4 screws here, 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 and here. Take those out, and then I just have one left. Okay, so first you have to take out this whole dash part. You have one screw on this side and one screw here, and then you have 2 snaps, one on this side. You have to pull on it. You have to open the door, and you pull, and it comes out. You can see right here, one snap, and then the other one is on this side. You can see right here a snap that goes inside there, and then everything comes apart. I already have some gouges installed, and you'll see more wires here than there are normally, but that's fine. So basically I do have this one wire that is coming from the back. You can see here from the back of this button, the cruise control button. So this one just sends 12 volts to the cruise control module, and then it starts the whole module. Basically I just took one wire and put it inside the steering wheel, where I could send 12 volts from the steering wheel on that wire to the cruise control module. And you'll see down here somewhere, you can see the airbag plug right there, and so that one corresponds to this one, and the cruise control plug right here. You can see this wire that goes to the steering wheel that I put together with this one that I was telling you about. So in the steering wheel you have 4 wires coming in, but you only use 3 originally, so I put the cruise control on-off button on the 4th wire that goes to that button, but actually I'm using the button on the steering wheel. Okay, and the cruise control plug is also here somewhere, just like that. Okay, so in order to take those off, the airbag one, you have to pry on this spring-loaded plug here, like that, and it should come out. And the other one, you just have a hook that you press and it comes out. Then you already took the screws out. You just take the clock spring out and you put it aside, and then you have this holder for your stalks, for the windshield stock and for the light stalk. I'll take this one out too, because with the newer steering wheel you have to change for the newer 05 plus shape in order to mount the correct clock spring. So for this one, in order to take it out, you have 3 plugs. Here you press on this and you pull it out, you press on this and you pull it out, you press on this and you pull it out, and then this one is right here. You have to unhook it, and then you have 3 screws. One is right here underneath, and there are 2 more here and here, and after that you just take this out. So you pry on this upwards and then you take this whole thing out like that, and this is the final result that you have to stay with. And now you can also see the shape, the hooking mechanism there. Okay, so that's basically everything for uninstalling the steering wheel, clock spring, and this. We're gonna take a look at what we need in order to make this update to the steering wheel. Let me show you first what parts I have here. So first we have the original stuff that came off of the car. Yeah, so we have this part that contains the position lights switch, the headlight switch, and the windshield wiper switch. As I said, on the facelift Foresters, these mounts are different, and also these 2 mounts are different. Fortunately, this one mount is the same, and you can see that this is the facelift one. I'm not sure if it's possible to see on the camera that these are in a different position, but maybe you can see that this mounting tab is different. So you can see here, actually it's a mounting dome. It's a dome in which there's a screw that keeps the housing on the steering stalk. This one has a different position. Then yeah, these 2 screws up here are different. You can see also on the back, if we compare them, they are different. You can see that it's got some small pins here. These ones are on the outside and the original ones are on the inside. The stalks are also different, but I think it's just a difference in their shape. These are the stalks from a facelift Forester, and you can see that there's a shape difference. These ones are rounded and these ones are more of a corner style. I do prefer the original ones. I'm going to reuse those. Other than that, so these 2 parts, then we have the original clock spring. I'm not gonna use this. As you can see, the plug for the cruise control has 4 wires. 1 is not used. We've got 3 wires. One is 12 volt to the steering wheel, and 2 wires that combine the set, reset, and cancel buttons. So for set you send 12 volts on one wire, for reset you send 12 volts on another wire, and then for cancel you send 12 volts at the same time on both wires. I also took this wire out because I used it in combination with the button on the dashboard, so that I could activate via this wire from the steering wheel instead of the dashboard. Then we have the facelift one. You can see that the airbag plug is the same as the original one. Of course the cruise control is different because this one has 4 and this one has 8 pins, so I'm going to try to adapt cruise control, lighting for the buttons and also media interface. So all the other buttons that Subaru has. I already put some Arduino jumper cables in here because the Arduino pins go directly inside the plug onto the pins, so they fit properly, and I'm hoping to be able to just use these ones as jumper wires and not have to really cut and solder too many wires. This is one example from the 2008 steering wheel. This is the PCB for the cruise control system. It doesn't have a plug in this case. And the lighting, you can see that there's 4 LEDs on the PCB. Yeah, this one it's completely different on 08 Plus. So you have different resistances, and so you send a different voltage to the cruise control unit. Instead of just 12 volts on 2 wires, you send I think it's these 2 buttons are for on-off button for the cruise control. You send 12 volts directly via the yellow wire, if I'm not mistaken, and then via the green wire you send the other voltages for each button, a different one. Black and red are used for plus and minus, basically for the LEDs, so for the lighting. Okay, then one more thing I've got here is the counterpart of the plug that we need here. So this plug, this one goes in here, and so I have these wires that I'm going to cut into and connect to different stuff on the car. In this way I don't have to break any plug on the car or take pins out or cut wires and stuff like that. I know that 4 wires are going to be used for cruise control, and the other 4 I'll have to combine lighting and media buttons. This is the steering wheel, 3-spoke, so it comes with this back housing. Also has the Bluetooth buttons, and so this one mounts something like this. Of course I have the screws in it so that I don't want to lose them, but it mounts something like this. And then we have the other parts. I already painted these ones. Originally they are lighter gray, but I painted these ones like some other parts of my interior, and I'm gonna use black buttons. So that's one of the reasons I went with this newer steering wheel, because it has black buttons. Okay, so this is how it looks. These are the buttons. You can see we've got a mode button, plus, minus, up, down, pick up, hang up, talk, cruise, reset, set, cancel. If you look in here, there's multiple plugs. This is what we're gonna look into, how to assemble everything in such a way that they will hopefully work. So this is why I have these wires right here. You can see that there are these 3 plugs, and I've got those 3 plugs. One is for the airbag, and the other 2 I'm going to be using for all the other functions. And then I looked on this side and basically matched each pin to this each pin. So each plug, I put plug A, plug B, plug C, and then pin 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know it's an odd order, but if you look right here, this is the order in which they come, and I also put the colors of these jumper cables right beside each pin to pin comparison. I need to start working on the plugs and taking the plugs from the other buttons, the steering wheel buttons, out in order to see what pin goes where, and maybe I don't even have to take the plugs out, because hopefully, this is what I'm hoping to do, is that I'm going to be able to just put the pins in here. Yeah, they go in, and then match these wires to these plugs in such a way that they will work. You can see here that I drew all the diagrams that I'm gonna use. Basically, it's everything that's going on in the steering wheel. It's all the same thing. If you look here, let me show you. This is the steering wheel. I mounted the Bluetooth buttons. They're not really mounted, but they're in their original position. And we've got the media buttons, and then we've got the cruise control buttons, which are not yet in their housing. I'm not sure where I put that, because I need to modify these. So for the Bluetooth buttons and the media buttons, you don't really need to modify anything. You just use them as they are. For the cruise control buttons, in order to make them work for the 2004 Forester, you need to modify. So these are the buttons. If you go and follow the wiring on the PCB, you will see that the brown wire comes inside the PCB, goes to the first tab, then goes here where it's got a resistor, and then goes to this button, and then has another resistor, and then goes to the cancel buttons with another resistor. So basically you have different resistances between these three buttons, three functions, and this would mean that you are sending a different voltage for each button to the cruise control module. This is fine for 08 plus Subarus, because they work in this way, but for previous Subarus, I'm pretty sure that the Impreza the same way as the Forester. On the Forester one, you have to send 12 volts on one wire for set, 12 volts on one wire for reset, and then for cancel you are sending 12 volts on both set and reset wires at the same time. So what we have to do here is to combine these PCB with the functions of the 04 Forester. As I said, I previously used and done this already for the 08 steering wheel that I used, 08 Outback I think steering wheel, and I created my own PCB. It's not that pretty. It's just a plexiglass PCB. It's not that good and I wouldn't recommend it, but I didn't have anything else that is harder. As you know, real PCBs are made of fiberglass, I believe, but I made this one with the plexiglass material, and then I glued the copper sheet, I would say it's a copper sheet, on the plexiglass, and then with the Dremel I took out all the parts where I didn't need connections and wires, and in such way I could make the same shape as the 08 Plus, but with the 04 way of working. So if you look at this one, you have one button here and here. These are the same. One here, one here, one here. Actually, these two are also the same. And if you follow this, I've got 12 volts on this. So the green wire, you can see here it's also with the horn. together, spliced together. Green wire is plus 12 volts. It goes inside the PCB. It comes right here, and you can see that this one, if you can follow it, it goes to these buttons, then it comes here to this button, here to this one, and here to both of these one. Well, it's the same button but 2 tabs. And that's the common 12 volt. And then I have one wire here for the cruise control on, because I moved my button from the dashboard to the steering wheel. And then you have one other wire here, and if you look on the back, there are 2 diodes, in such a way that from the cancel wire you go with 2 diodes, one for each set and reset buttons. And so when you press cancel, you send 12 volts to both wires, but if you press each of set or reset buttons, they don't send 12 volts on the other one because of the diodes. You need the diodes because in other ways, if you just connect the cancel with these 2, whenever you send current on one of the wire, you are going to send on both of them. So the diodes are there to separate the 2 in such a way that only when you press the cancel button you are sending 12 volts on both wires. So in order to make this into this, we are going to need to take off the resistors that were connecting the 3 buttons: reset, set, cancel. You can already see here that I took the resistors off, so I unsoldered them, and so now we have separate these buttons, these 2 tabs with 1 button. They were separate before. This is separate, and these ones are separate too. The only issue is that right now the green wire is connected to the cancel, but as you saw here, cancel has to be connected to the set and reset buttons. So I need to drill into this PCB somewhere, so that I put 1 wire for this button, for the reset button, and 1 wire for the set button, and then I have to solder 2 diodes on the cancel button and connect them 1 each for each wire of the reset and set button. In that way we're going to send correct signals to the 04 Forester cruise control module. Okay, so the way the media part works is that you have 2 modules which work on 2 separate wires. First you have the plus, minus, up, down buttons on the blue wire, and then you have the mode, pick up, hang up, and speak on the yellow wire, which if you follow this connector, you can see there's a connection here connecting this part to this part. I'm gonna use only 2 wires for the lighting. You will see also on the wiring diagram that basically how this works for the lighting. You can see here there are 2 wires for this module and 2 wires for these 2, so they're divided into 2, and this plug would plug right here, but this is the 2010 Impreza XV roll connector, but right now I have a Forester facelift connector, a roll connector. So that one has 14 pins, I believe, and this one has only 8. I'm not sure about the 14 pins on the other one, but it doesn't really matter right now. So for this one, the way it worked before was that one circuit was coming towards the steering wheel. It was divided before the roll connector into 2 circuits, and then it would feed these 2 PCBs and this one separately on this plug. Right now, because we don't have so many wires or pins here, I'm just going to come with 1 circuit through the roll connector and divide it inside the steering wheel. So basically it's kind of the same thing, I would say, but we're dividing the circuits inside the steering wheel, not before the roll connector. In this way I'm just coming with 2 wires inside, and then I'll spread them to the 3 PCBs that I need to light up. The media part works that plus, minus, up, down is going on the blue wire. Mode, pick up, hang up, speak are going on the yellow wire. But you can, if you see here, this connector connects this module to this one, and you've got two wires. One of them, I believe it's the orange or brown, is this white one, basically the ground or the common wire. I'm not sure if it's ground or plus voltage or something. And the other one is the yellow wire that you can see in this plug, for these 4 buttons, that goes and basically picks up the mode from this module on this pink wire that goes all around the steering wheel, comes into this plug and then goes into this module and comes out as the yellow wire. That's basically how this setup is working. On my media interface, I got this thing from eBay. It's a 10.1 Android unit, and if you can see, I've got key and key 2. So key 1 and key 2, basically what I have to do is to connect the blue wire to key 1, for instance, and the yellow wire to key 2, and then the white wire to ground. And whenever this unit sends whatever it needs to send in here, because of the resistances that are in between the buttons, it's gonna pick up a different button. Now going to the diagram that I have here on my desk. On this side you can see I've got the wires that are coming from the 2010 system. So this is basically my steering wheel system. It has the cruise control, the media and the Bluetooth buttons, and then we've got white on plug 1, yellow on plug 2, blue on plug 1. As I said, they are the key 1, key 2 and ground. Then we've got green on plug 1 and brown on plug 1, which are the 12 volts. I'm not sure why I have here ground. It's 12 volts, set, reset and cancel both together, and the yellow wire is for the cruise control on off. I think this is not, I was testing different things here. And then I've got the red on plug 1 and plug 2, and the black on plug 1 and plug 2 as 12 volts and ground for the lighting. Here I wrote down what I really need. I've got 8 pins, as you can see here. So I wrote here 8 pins on the roll connector. This is, I named them like this. Plug A has 1, 2, 3, plug B has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have the airbag, which is separate, and then this is the other side of the roll connector. So basically it's the side, it's this side that goes underneath the steering wheel. You can see here we've got the 8 pins coming out, and I named them in such a way that they go 1 to 1. So I've got 1, 2, 3. You can also see here like this, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the lower side, 6, 7, 8 up. And then here I've got the connections and also the wires that I'm going to use on the jumper wires. So we've got plug A, this one, with pin 1 connecting to 1 on plug C. You can see plug C is here, plug A and B here. And then plug A, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, with 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 on plug C. Plug B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And plug 1 has black, white, gray, violet, blue, green, yellow, orange on the jumper cables. I've got this setup. So plug A, as you saw there, plug B, and then here we're gonna have on plug A key 1, key 2 and ground. So I'm not sure about this diode, if I have to put it on ground. I think I have to put it on key 1 and key 2. I've got one fear here, that if I connect ground, as you can see here, illumination has the plus on plug B and the minus connected to the ground, a common ground, and I fear that if I connect both illumination, which would mean minus 12 volts, to this, it might interfere or maybe break something on the head unit. I'm not sure what voltage or how that works. So I think I have to put two diodes on these two wires, key 1 and key 2, in such a way that no current can come back to them, but I have to test this, I'm not sure. Then we've got plug B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've got plus here, cruise control on off, reset, set, and the plus wire for the cruise control and also horn. You can see here. Again, cancel with two diodes connected, one diode for each reset and set buttons. I'll put also the car diagrams in here, and now I'll have to solder the wires for the cruise control side. So right now I'm gonna have to take all this apart, and I'll have to work on this in such a way that I can bring the two wires that I need for reset set and also the two diodes for this. I'm gonna work on this and then film so that you also see what I got. Okay, so I'm almost ready with the wiring. So I did the cruise control PCB. You can see that I have two more wires in here, and also the diodes that are needed in order to do the cancel function. You can see on the back I've got these two holes in here, and also the wires connected to the diodes in here. There are two diodes coming out of here and connecting one each with one of these wires. So the wires are connected to the reset and set buttons, and the diodes are connected right here with the cancel buttons, so that when you press cancel you send 12 volts on both reset and set wires. Then I have all this wiring, my jumper cables connected to the original cables. I've got some heat shrinking tube over it that I need to tighten. Here I've got the common ground, so it's basically the minus of the lighting. You can see the black wire with the ground of the media buttons. Okay, so right now I want to test everything here on the bench, and we'll see if it works in the car. You can see that I have here the wiring connected for the lighting. So I have the one red wire with green here for positive and a common ground, and we'll test the lighting. I have a 9-volt battery that I'm gonna use. So black to minus and red to plus. Not sure if you can see, but they do light up. All the buttons light up in red. You can see something, okay. Now for the other test for the keys, I'm gonna connect my multimeter, and I'm gonna go to resistance, and then I'm going to connect common ground to black, and this red one gonna go on the first wire. So first wire, I Now that this is key 1 and key 2, or the other way, it doesn't really matter. So I connect it here on the first one, and if I press the buttons, it should show a resistance. Okay, so the first wire, black with light green, is for the Bluetooth buttons and mode. Then I'll switch. So I'll go to the next one. This one is green. And I'll press the plus, minus, down, up. These ones work also. Then I have to go, let me see. So for cruise control I have the common 12 volt, which is orange, so orange is equal to 8th pin here on this plug, which is in the middle. So I believe 8th pin is light, white. Oh, I guess it's okay, so white on the counterpart, and that means it's light blue on this one. So right now I have the common, let me go with red actually, put positive here, and then I'll connect for each function. I need to use the 7 and 6 are the next two ones. So this one, 7, should be set. Well, there's no resistance here because it's an open circuit. Then reset should be 6, I believe. Yes, reset. Okay, if I press cancel, it should give me a resistance on both, but we don't really care about that. So you can see that on both the wires for set and reset, it gives a signal. Okay, and for the cruise on off, it's blue, it's wire 5, it's the pink one here, down here. So this is for the cruise. Again, open circuit or closed circuit, I know, so direct, no resistances. Okay, so I guess everything works. So right now I have to connect these wires. You can see that I made one connection here. This is going to be to the lights, so I guess when I turn on the lights I have also lights on the steering wheel. So I have to tap in somewhere where I get lights to some buttons. That should be pretty easy. I already have some buttons in the car that light up, so I'm just going to tap into that in one wire from those. And the other ones I need to connect to cruise control and to the media interface. This means that I have to do some work on these plugs. These small plugs should just go into the plug that's underneath the dashboard for the cruise control. Actually, I only need 3 because one wire is going to go directly to the dashboard button that I was using before. So that one wire is the pink one, so this one has to go directly to the other button that was on the dashboard for the cruise on off. Then these two buttons I'll connect to one blue and one red. We'll see which. And then this one for plus 12 volt. So I believe it's the light. This is pin 8. It goes here to pin. So it goes here 8, orange, and then it becomes white, and then it becomes light blue. Okay, so it's orange in here, white right here, you can see white, and light blue right here. Okay, so right now we need to modify this part. I have to cut this screwing dome and then go to the car and screw it in, and then mount this and glue this wherever it goes. And also I have to cut these screwing holes or drill them out because they're not in the correct positioning for the 2004 Subaru Forester. So I'm going to have to modify the fixing of these two upper screwing positions. First we need to take this plug out. You unsnap it from here, you unsnap the wires, and then there's a hook in here. Inside you press on it, and you push with one hand at the same time, and it comes out. Then the wires are pretty tight, so you have to carefully pry them out. Kind of have to pull on them a bit. Okay, so now that's out. I can start cutting. So I'm just gonna cut this from the base. Okay, pretty nice cut. And now I need to go and screw this in and see if we need to add material. It's probably gonna fall here somewhere, so we might need to add some material inside the car. So I'll screw it in and then we'll see where it falls, and I'll have to also glue it in. So I'm going to try to cut this with this tool. Okay guys, so as you can see I've got some wires to solder here. These are from my gouges. Just cut the wires shorter, they were too long, but if you follow, you see down here, I don't think you can see, but I've got the cruise control button, and on the back I've tapped into one wire. So this is basically the 12 volt wire that activates the cruise control system, and this is going to be, so it's longer, this is going to be soldered to this violet wire. As you can see here, I already made the connections like this for the cruise control system. I'll have this wire soldered with the other one that you saw right there, and then I already put some wires for illumination. Red, ground is black, and then these two I made them in such a way that they're going to connect with this plug up here where I'm going to mount the media interface. So it's gonna come like this, of course underneath the dashboard. yeah, so right now I'm gonna put some shrinking tube on this wire so that I cover it, and then I'll make the connection between this and this. Then I'll try to also plug in the cruise control wires. I'm not sure if you can see, it's always hard to see underneath there, but this is the airbag plug, and somewhere in here, yeah, back there, here, that's the cruise control plug. So I'm gonna have to plug these 3 wires right here into that cruise control plug, and then the airbag is just going to go into the harness that's still inside, and then 1 wire is going to be, as I said, this violet wire is going to be to that button right there. So yeah, I'll start doing that. I think first I'll have to start working on this upper side. As you know, I have this part that's going to have the stalks, the windshield wipers and the light stalks on it. Right now it's not mounting correctly. If you look in here, one screw is lining up, but the other 2 are not. You can see the hole, hopefully. So you can see this screw in here in the back. There's a screw hole where this should screw in, but it doesn't. So I'll have to drill into that and make it screw in. But until then, I have to work on this. This. Let me show you what I did till now. I put this dome like this. I put some glue in here, and this I have to cut the tube that I glued onto the dome in such a way that it will get in the correct position here for the lower side to mount. Of course I forgot the lower side, but this is what I'm gonna do right now. I'm going to get the other side of this, which has 1 screw. I'm gonna screw this in and then see what I have to cut and where to make this glue into this part. So I have to put 1 screw in here so that I fix this white piece, and then I'm gonna screw this into the black lower side, lower cover, and then I'll see where it falls so that I have to cut it and glue it into this. And after that I'm gonna do all the wiring. Okay, so right now we're back in the car and we're going to assemble everything. You can see I've got this prepared, the holder for the stalks and also for the roll connector. I cut here so that the holes, rubber holes, align properly and the lower hole aligns already. I've cut this screw dome from here and moved it and glued it in here with the help of this cover. So I screwed in the dome, and then I also put this in its position, and then I glued it in such a way that I could figure out where the correct position is. Okay, so the first thing that I need to do is to screw this in. Actually, I think first thing is to put the stalks back. Everything's held in by 4 screws. They just go in. They've got these tabs on the upper and lower part that go into these holes in here. It all slides in. I've kept my stalks because they were a bit better, I would say, so you can see the paint better on mine. and also they have a different shape. They are more rounded here, and I preferred this shape rather than the newer one, which has a little bit of an edge here. As you can see, everything just slides in, so at least the stalks you can reuse from your 04 Forester, but as you saw, you have to modify the two holding positions and this one. Okay, it should be functioning. It's always complicated with this. I think the steering wheel is all the way down. Okay, so this one goes in properly. There's a bit of a play in it, but once you screw it down, you won't have that. Yeah, so the stalks, this button, parking light button, and everything should be okay. I've got here the 3 screws. This is a more complicated position as I need to come from the side, but I need to screw it in straight. I might not be able to do this with this screwdriver because it's thicker. I also didn't want to cut more of this plastic, white plastic part, because I didn't want to break the whole integrity of the part. Yeah, so I need another screwdriver for this. Okay, now it's tight. For the plugs, I think I need to put this one first. So whenever you work with this roll connector, make sure that it's centered the way it has to be done. It's written on here, so it says point front wheels straight ahead. Okay, rotate 3.25 turns from right and stop. Align match mark center mark. So you have here some marks on this moving part and one mark on this non-moving part. You have to rotate towards right up to the stop. So this is the stop, and then you count 3.25 turns. This is 0.25, then 1, 2, 3. And now if I go 3.25, it should also go to the end. So 1, 2, 3, and the end should be here somewhere. It rotates more in this part. It doesn't have such a hard stop as it has on the other side. So if I go again 3, 1, 2, 3, this is the middle. Then 3.25, it should be the right stop. 1, 2, 3, 0.25. Okay, 0.25, 1, 2, 3, and it should be straight. And this one goes in like this. Got the 4 screws in here. go again with the bigger one. Yeah. So tighten them, but not too tight, because you have to remember you're tightening into plastic. You've got a metal screw and you're going into plastic, so if you force it too much you might break the thread in the plastic, and then you won't have a point to screw into anymore. And then you have to do stuff like put plastic in and then make a hole, and this is pretty complicated, as this white plastic part is fiberglass plastic, so it's not really a plastic that you can melt. From what I know, it's harder, so it also breaks more hard. It's not so malleable. Okay, so right now there's also a holder in here for your cables. Just push them in and everything should align here. Now if we go here behind, maybe you can see already, we have this plug, the airbag plug and the cruise control plug. I'll put the airbag plug in. This one is a bit hard to push in, but also hard to take out. Then the other plug that we already talked about, the one that I did for cruise control and all the other stuff. For this I just need to find one ground and one for illumination. Okay, then we can bring this up and we can just plug in the stalks. You can hear it click in. Also the parking light, also the headlight stalk. Okay, now this plastic part should go into this. It doesn't go in perfectly. Probably the original one has a different position, but maybe if I go on the other side. So I'll take the plug out and go around it. Yeah, I believe this is better. Okay, so now everything should be snug here. I think I'm ready to mount the steering wheel. So I can take the 17mm nut off. And I think at this point I can press everything back down. And also I can screw this in. There are two screws here underneath. So this plastic upper cover screws into a metal bracket. It's a bit complicated to see here, but if you look for it, you will find it. And the second screw also here. The second screw is more visible from the side, but it's also screwed in from down. So straight up, looking from down, from underneath the dashboard. Again, you are screwing into plastic. The screws just go through the metal bracket, but they screw in some two domes on this plastic cover. You can see it's tightish. It doesn't really get any tighter. And now for the lower bracket. Hopefully my dome that I created isn't going to break. So this should cover everything. Be careful not to catch any wires. This lower part snaps into the upper part. Now I have to see what the torque is for this steering wheel. 38 Newton meters. So I'll put the steering wheel back in. As far as I know, my wheels are straight. They're straight. Yeah, the next position is right here, so this should be straight. Okay. Now I can put the nut in. So 38 Newton meters right there. 39, 38. Yeah, I remembered you need a longer socket for this. Okay, so there it is, 38. Now I have to put all the wires in. Okay, so this looks right. I've tightened all these screws. Now for the airbag. So you have to put the airbag plug, the back part first in. Maybe you'll be able to see like this. So I put it in. Snaps in. And then you press the safety. You can see it's tight. And don't forget your horn. Okay. So now it should hold right in. You need a T25. In the picture on the left, you can see the connector that's used for the media part on the steering wheel. The upper part of the picture is the connector that comes from the steering wheel. You can also see here my writing Forester under dash old steering wheel. So this is the original connector coming from the steering wheel. You can see that it has 3 pins. It actually has 4 pins, but one is not really used. So as I said in the other part of the video, there's a 12-volt pin on the right upper row. Then there's the reset function from the cruise control on the lower part right, and the set function on the upper part left. And then on the lower part left, there should be another pin that I used for the cruise control on-off button on the 2008 Outback steering wheel that I used in between the original one and the 2010 in this video. On the lower part, you can see the connector that's underneath the dashboard. This one I kept even right now with the 2010 Impreza steering wheel. You can see on the right side of the picture that I connected the new facelift connector coming from the steering wheel to the connector that was underneath the original 2004 connector. So you can see that the black wire is the reset function, the light blue is the plus 12 volts, and the pink is the set function. For the 2 wires coming from my steering wheel connector, the red one that goes to the lights and the black one that's the ground, I used the front accessory power supply socket for the connections. So I unplugged the pins from the connector for the front accessory power supply, and I used the second pin in the connector, the black wire, for the ground, and the third pin, which is a violet wire, for the positive lead for the lighting. I just wrapped my unstripped wires around the pins, and then I plugged them back into the connector. In these pictures you can see some color matching that I did in order to decide on which colors I want to have. On the left you can see the original gray buttons with gray housings that I think all the pre-facelift Impreza, Legacy, Outback, Forester come with. Then in the middle I painted the housing in my interior color and kept the original buttons, and then on the right I got the black facelift buttons with my gray housing. You can see on the left side the original 4-spoke steering wheel of the 2004 Forester XT with a cruise control stalk on the steering wheel and a button for on-off on the dashboard. On the left side it was the intermediary 2008 Outback steering wheel, where I had the cruise control on the steering wheel, also the on-off button on the steering wheel, but no lighting. You can see here again on the left side the original steering wheel, and then on the right side you can see the final result, which is the 2010 Impreza XV steering wheel with lighting, cruise control and media buttons, everything functional. Thank you for watching. I hope you made it through the whole video, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next video when I'm going to install the Android media player that I got for the center console.